Good day to the Borlaug Global Rust community, and thank you for tuning in by Facebook or Zoom. My name is Ronnie Coffman, and I'm Vice Chair of the Borlaug Global Rust Initiative, or the BGRI. What I want to talk about is the impact of the durable rust resistance in wheat and delivering genetic gain in wheat projects, especially as it relates to 12 years of research and variety adoption that many of us have been involved with. I met Dr. Borlaug 50 years ago in 1970 after I came to Cornell as a graduate student. Dr. Borlaug was my mentor and the most significant professional relationship of my life. I went on to become a rice breeder for a number of years, but came back to Cornell Department of Plant Breeding and Genetics and kept in touch with Dr. Borlaug. I became involved with the Borlaug Global Rust Initiative's wheat project in 2005, when Dr. Borlaug first sounded the alarm globally about UG99, the especially virulent race of stem rust that came out of East Africa in 1999. It's a bit of a challenge to talk about the impact of the DRRW and DGGW, the global stem rust epidemic that seemed nearly unavoidable when Dr. Norman Borlaug sounded the alarm in 2005 did not happen. The BGRI and the scientists and farmers globally who were associated with our efforts, some of whom are on this call, were almost certainly responsible for it not happening. We cannot prove it absolutely, but I do think we can be enormously proud of the work we've done to make certain a major stem rust epidemic did not occur. What we can do is prove some desirable outcomes. Outcomes like the increase in area planted to resistant varieties globally. Outcomes like the expansion of the global network of wheat pathogen surveillance from 2 countries to 43 countries. Outcomes like the number of young wheat scientists in the pipeline, especially women who have been and are being trained to be the next generation of wheat breeders, pathologists, gender experts, and leaders in the wheat community. Outcomes like the growth of the global wheat community dedicated to the improvement of one of the world's most important crops. It's easier to document outputs, such as the number of resistant varieties released and the amount of seed produced. It's also easier to document inputs, which amount to more than $100 million over the 12-year duration of the grant. We're enormously grateful to the generosity and commitment of our donors, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and UK Aid from the British people, or DFID. A robust breeding pipeline of new, improved varieties that were high yielding and had agronomic traits desired by the farmers has been a central and important objective. For 12 years, through the DRRW and the DGGW projects, the BGRI has been focused on delivering rust-resistant varieties of wheat to farmers around the world who depend on agriculture and wheat production for their livelihoods. We've been especially dedicated to smallholder farmers in wheat-producing countries in Africa and Asia, men and women who do not always have the access to new technologies, like improved seed, that they need. Farmers like the ones shown here are people whose livelihoods and the income and nutritional security of their families have been immeasurably improved because of the work of BGRI pathologists, plant breeders, and surveillance experts. As we move forward to 2030 and beyond, we must rededicate ourselves to understanding farmers' needs because they are the ultimate beneficiaries of our work. As Norman Borlaug would say, take it to the farmer. I want to remind you of the objectives of our most recent project, the DGGW. Both the DRRW and DGGW were multifaceted. We had a number of goals, but always we could count on those objectives on 2 hands. We set out to build a globally connected network of partners who would work together in support of each other. They came from public and private institutions, from CG Network, from National Agricultural Research Centers, and academia. Among them were breeders, surveillance and monitoring experts, scientists good at phenotyping, genomic selection, data management, seed multiplication and delivery, training, advocacy, and communications. This global wheat community is much stronger and more resilient than it was 12 years ago, and that's a very significant outcome. Global rust monitoring and surveillance is an amazing success story of the DRRW and DGGW. With the help of GPS, handheld mobile devices like tablets and cell phones, Our partners now operate the world's largest international crop disease monitoring system. In 2007, there were 2 countries in this international network. Now there are 41. Most recently, Dave Hodson at CIMMYT and Diane Saunders at the John Innes Center had developed a mobile, real-time plant disease diagnostic suitcase that can quickly identify individual strains of complex fungal pathogens directly in the field, allowing farmers to get ahead of outbreaks. Developing and building capacity for screening nurseries in Kenya and Ethiopia is another important innovation of the DRRW and DGGW. Screening data are used to evaluate the resistance of the world's wheat varieties to the UG99 lineage of stem rust and other relevant stem rust races, as well as yellow rust. These nurseries, developed in conjunction with national partners, are an important stop for the elite wheat varieties in the shuttle breeding program of rust-resistant varieties being developed and tested by wheat-growing nations all over the world. Through the BGRI, the DRRW, and DGGW have improved the infrastructure for pathotype analysis globally, making it a much more robust and interconnected system involving partners from throughout the community. We've invested in greenhouses, irrigation systems, fields, cold storage, laboratories, field equipment like row planters and harvesters, and more robust internet connectivity at partner research stations. Training new scientists is an important aspect of the training pipeline objective. We want to continue to grow the wheat community and build long-term sustainability and durability. The only way we can do that is with people. Since 2008, more than 1,000 scientists from DRRW, DGGW partner countries have been trained. Since 2010, through the Jeannie Borlaug Lobby Women in Triticum Early Career and Mentor Award Program, the BGRI has recognized and advanced the careers of 55 young women researchers. And the BGRI has recognized 11 mentors who have positively influenced the careers of these women and many other young researchers. There's much more to be said about the importance of genomic selection and high throughput phenotyping, data management, seed multiplication and delivery, which I think you'll be talking about later in this program, and the importance of advocacy in building a global community of wheat warriors and wheat resiliency. So yes, all these objectives contributed to the more than 270 new varieties of wheat with greater resistance to diseases and abiotic stress that we've released in 11 at-risk countries. These varieties have contributed enormously to improving the livelihoods of the farmers who adopted them. With new advances in DNA testing, we'll be able to trace more reliably where the varieties are being deployed. We continue to stress the importance of releasing varieties with multiple resistance genes. This work by breeders could not have been done without the help of the other objectives of the project. I want to leave you with one story represented by the 4 images in this slide. It's the effect of new varieties on just one Ethiopian village. In 2010, Makeda Mohammed's wheat crop was destroyed by yellow rust. That's her in the orange coat in her wheat field with Dr. Badada. When we visited her in 2011, the first year she had planted new wheat varieties from EIAR. Her crop was doing well, but the villagers were hesitant to follow her lead. When we visited again in 2012, she'd become a village leader, having profited from her crop, as well as saved and distributed the improved seeds to other farmers in her village. In 2017, the picture to the left, the BGRI visited again, and even more people in the village and surrounding areas had profited from the new varieties. Makeda's small community in the RC zone is just one instance of what happens when a national program like EIAR, CIMMYT, and the BGRI collaborate with smallholder farmers to plant rust-resistant wheat on her farm, when she multiplies it for seed and shares it with her neighbors. Ms. Mohammed's entire village has realized increased income and food security through variety adoption and improved agronomic practices, like row planting, allowing them to send their children to school and improve their families' existences. These are the smallholder farmers for whom we work. Sadly, Makeda died a year ago while on pilgrimage to Mecca. But in March 2020, Dr. Bedada visited her village again and interviewed two of her sons on behalf of the BGRI. The family of 5 of Makita's sons works 5 hectares, or about 12 acres. Makita's son Tenem, that's him in the photo in the back seat with Dr. Bedada driving and the Ethiopian videographer in the front. Tenem said this, quote, "When our mother was with us, she worked to make our lives better. We're where we are now because we followed her advice. We're determined to continue her legacy and continue her work and work with the community using improved seed varieties and work together with the scientists and the neighborhood agricultural professionals." So the success story continues as future generations continue to profit from and believe in improved varieties of wheat. We have to continue to reach those farmers and give young people hope that indeed farming is a viable way of life. Thank you.